Thank you, sir. I don't see him.
I don't know if anybody turned it on.
Good save.
I don't see Pat Finley now.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get this meeting started. The first thing is going to be the invocation will be by Magistrate Mark Miller, and then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we ask you to come to this meeting today and be a part of it. We ask, Father, that you would give us wisdom and guidance as your elected officials. And we pray, Father, that this community would prosper and that we would grow in unity, and that, Father, that you would be glorified through all this. And we ask it all in Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a public hearing to set the 2023 property tax rates. So we will call that hearing to order, and Madam Clerk will do the roll call.
Magistrates Craycraft,
Present.
Pasley,
Here.
Constantopoulos,
Present.
Blanton,
Here.
Davis,
Present.
and Miller.
Present.
Purpose of this hearing is to allow the public comments on the proposed tax rates. Okay, seeing that there is no one having any comments,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion, Magistrate Constantopoulos, and a second by Magistrate Blanton. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned from the public hearing on setting the tax rates. Now we'd like to call the regular Clark County Fiscal Court meeting for September the 13th to order, and Madam Clerk will call the roll.
Magistrates Pasley,
Here.
Constantopoulos,
Present.
Blanton,
Here.
Davis,
Present.
Miller,
Present.
and Craycraft.
Present.
The first item, number 7, will be public comments. Seeing none.
There should be.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda will be department head comments. Here we go.
Talk in the mic.
Thank you, let me speak. I'd like to also call up Sarah Miller Cruz. Sorry. That was such a long time ago.
Years ago.
That was a few years.
Thank you, Cal. 30 years ago.
Sarah Cruz, she spent the last 26 years serving her community here in Clark County as a deputy coroner. And she's retired, she's left us at the first of September, so I just want to recognize her. The judge has a certificate for her that he'd like to present to her.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I retired from nursing in June of 30 years of nursing and now 26 years as a deputy coroner and I'm a family.
And then also I have this I want to present to her from the coroner's
Thank you
office
so much.
for her 26 years. Thanks, sir.
Very much.
Okay, item 9 will be to consider the approval of the minutes for August the 24th. And the 28th.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion by Magistrate Blanton and a second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, item number 10 will be consider approval of minutes for September the 5th and the 6th.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Blanton. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11 will be to consider the transfer list.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos, second with Magistrate Miller, and any comments? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item will be the bills list. Item number 12.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos, second by Magistrate Blanton. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then you have the, item 13, you have the pre-authorization list in front of you. Next, item number 14 will be, you, excuse me, you have a note in the minutes for the jailer's monthly report for August 2023. Item number 15 is a note in the minutes for constable's duty reports for Constable Puckett, Toller, and McIntosh. Note in the minutes will be the Clark County Treasurer's Report for August 2023. Number 17 is a note in the minutes for the Clark County Clerk's state audit report, item number 17.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And it was a good report.
Very good.
Item number 18 will be a note in the minutes, the state auditor's report of public accounts of the Clark County Sheriff's Office for 2022. And I think that was another good report. Item number 20, item number 19 is a note in the minutes for the Monday morning memo from the Winchester Clark County Industrial Authority for the week of August the 28th. Item number 20 is a note in the minutes, the coroner's report for August 2023. Item number 21 is a note in the minutes for the September 2023 pay anniversary increases. Okay, now we're going to get to item number 22 to consider financing, how we want to finance the contract for the new Clark County fire truck. And with us today is Kelly Mittler from KCO to answer any questions that we may have. And I think if you look in your, on number 22, you look in your packet, you should have some information on there. And so basically, what we have to, and Kelly can correct me on this one, but direct placement is basically financing the fire truck through a bank. The bond pool will be going through KCO. And there is no penalty for payoffs on either one. Or-
There's no penalties in connection with the direct placement if you wanted to pay down or pay off, but there is a penalty in connection with the bond pool. You're looking at a 10-year term, so it would be the entire term. There would be.
Okay, okay.
Could you talk into the mic?
Absolutely.
That'd be great. 'Cause there's people on the TV and stuff.
It's
Hey.
not on.
Master Miller?
Should be on.
Yeah, just press the,
Thank you.
Hold it in,
Yeah, just hold it and hold it.
Better?
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Kelly.
So there is, your options would be to do a direct placement through a bank. The estimated rate is about 6.18. The estimated rate through our bond pool is 4.98%. And again, there are penalties in connection with the bond pool, but there are no penalties in connection with that. So it's a higher rate, but you have more flexibility. Depending on which option you choose, if you choose the finance that's like that, either one, you could do it by ordinance, if you would go with the bond, or you would approve by resolution if you would go with the bank. And I have those whole to get that process started.
Yeah, the mic's not on.
It's on, I see one.
Check.
Is that better?
No, it went off
The
again.
batteries are dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it must-
Lights on.
Yeah, I think the batteries are dead and it keeps cutting off.
Okay.
So, I'll just kind of repeat, if we go with we have to do the financing with either a resolution or an ordinance.
Right. The resolution would be, you would use a resolution for the bank option, and you would use an ordinance for the bond pool option.
Right.
Looks like the bond pool's gonna be the cheapest route.
Mm-hmm.
And the odds of us paying it off earlier,
Yeah, so we won't have that.
Doesn't look like rates are gonna be going down.
no, anytime soon.
And inflation print came in hot this morning, so.
Now, I also keep in mind, we're in a little bit of a race against the clock. I think, last time I heard, the fire truck's supposed to be here the 29th.
Yes, sir. It may be here the 24th, actually.
So if we go with a bond pool, that's an ordinance, so we'll have to advertise in the paper, et cetera.
Well, you have to go through, you're gonna have to go through DLG for either option, because it's over 500,000, and
Right.
that's gonna add some time to it. Because they'll take 30 days to get a hearing, then once you have a hearing, you have to get a recommended order, and then you have to wait for the final order, which takes 15 days. So that's a minimum 45 days.
And we need.
On either one of them.
Just on, yes, it would be on.
Either one, yeah, I have to go through either one.
And we do have 30 days after delivery to,
Yes, is the answer I'll give you. Remember, we've carried this truck for over a year and a half, so they've been out $750,000 for this long, so they're gonna expect payment once it's delivered. So I would estimate we may have 30 days to pay that bill before it's late.
and also there was a question came up about the fire hoses for the truck, that they were in the county fire department's budget separately, I think.
They were, sir.
And so it would be possible to add those, I guess, to the CAECO financing, or we pay for them out of the general fund. They're budgeted in the general fund right now.
Question I have is, the truck is, the numbers we start out with is $608,000. The fire truck was more than that. What's the difference in the financing amount and the actual cost of the truck? Because the truck was over 700, was it not?
608.
Hmm.
What was that number, sir?
Wasn't the truck over 700,000 total?
Yes, sir.
Well, the number that we got here financing is 608.
I don't know where you came up with that number.
I think that may have been their.
We had budgeted $750,000 for that truck, sir, is what we.
What's the final cost gonna be?
The final cost is right around $715.
$715.
It's under budget.
That's where the
Now,
seven.
I mean, I could be off $5,000. I will have the bill today.
Well, we've got one number here that says 710, but when we look at the financing sheet, it says 60823. So
Yeah.
there's a difference there someplace, and I don't know.
Remember, we took $150,000 and put it into the jail's budget also, just a few months ago.
Yeah, that's true.
So that may be where it's down to 608,
Could be.
could be. I'm just,
Uh,
I remember Ernest, Mr. Pasley remembers that, back in April, I believe, we removed $150,000 and put it over into the jail budget. So that's where I'd say we went from 750 to
Could
608.
be. Could be.
Could be. I'm not for sure.
Well, we want to make sure we have enough to pay for the truck if we're going to do this, and this.
Correct. We had budgeted 750,000, and we are under budget. We are under 750,000.
What's the total with all the equipment that you're gonna, the hose
If you
and-
added the hose to, we would be about 735, 740.
7.
I'd just say we do the whole 740
Yeah.
bond.
Yeah, I do too.
That'd be my preference, I think, as well.
That'd be my suggestion.
I can get you an exact number by the end of the day if you want.
One other option possibly, and I'm not 100% sure if we can do it or not, but that would be to just pay for the fire truck with ARPA money. That's always, I believe we can do that on the fire truck itself. So that's another option. The county does have we have bought a lot of equipment in the last few years.
So how do we need to proceed, I guess?
If you were to pick, if you choose the bond pool, you would want to have your first reading.
Can you say that again so I can hear that?
A little louder.
I didn't hear you. No, it's okay. It's not working. I'm sorry.
The first, if you were to choose the bond pool issue, you'd want to hold a first reading of your ordinance today.
Okay.
That would get the process started.
Okay.
And I could possibly talk to KCO about, I might be able to get $500,000 for 2 months to do a short-term loan to pay the truck off. If you needed us to do that, and maybe the county could kick in the other portion and get reimbursed.
That is another option.
That would work.
If we borrowed the 500,000 from KCO, that would be quick, fairly quick. And then the county would pick up the other 250 roughly.
And you could do that and kick in the 250 if you wanted to, or you could get reimbursed for the entire $740 of the bond. It's just something that I thought might help you all out. if you need to
How
pay
quickly
for
can you
that.
get us an answer on that?
Today. I think I could get you an answer today.
I just want to make sure, in case it comes up later for the fiscal court, I'm not making any representation or suggestion or that you can use ARPA funds for that purchase. So if someone in the body knows that to be the truth, I'm not going to dispute it, but I've not looked at that and I've not been asked. So I don't want anybody to come back later and say, well, the county attorney didn't say anything. Well, the reason I didn't say anything is I don't know. Nobody asked me. So it's not for you, but I don't want them to vote to use ARPA money and then find out we're not allowed to do that. So.
Okay.
I did get some information from Bluegrass Ad a few weeks ago to that point, and it does look like, I don't recall the exact date, but Treasury revised their categories for ARPA earlier this year. It was earlier this spring, I think, April or May of this year, I believe. Don't hold me to that. And I've seen that. Bluegrass Ad has some material on that. I asked a question similar to that, and it certainly looked like to me that public safety expenses like fire and police, equipment and so forth would fall under at least one of those categories, I think.
We've become we've come to a situation where I think we very generically talk about ARPA funding, and we fail to recognize that the earliest money was the community recovery money, some other acronym. And the uses there, for instance, were paying the employee pay premiums for service during the COVID. And so when you talk about the Treasury's final determination on what ARPA money can be used for, I just encourage us to make sure we're talking about ARPA money, because that's what we have. The recovery money's all gone.
That's right, that's right.
Could be either of the two. I'm just urging that we make sure we know the distinction.
And if that is if you decide to go with the ARPA, CAECO would totally support that. We're here to back you guys up.
I mean, for me, I hope you can if you want to. I just don't want you to do it right now and find out you can't.
Well, Magistrate Davis, can we still transfer ARPA money into the general fund for lost revenue?
No, I think that ship
That's
has
over.
sailed.
That ship
Okay.
went away.
That deadline was actually April 30th, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gone, long
But
gone.
again, it's just my understanding based on what the ad sent recently and has put out, that those categories, I think, have broadened. I think even to extend to things like road repair and construction is the way I read it. And I'll be glad to send that to you. I got it
If you would, please.
from Karen Leverins over at the ad that works
You
with
can
us on.
still do the general revenue loss calculation manually and transfer those amounts. Just the one-time
Can't do,
election deadline.
yeah, can't do that.
You can still do the calculation.
Maybe interesting to see what that calculation, what type of revenue that would bring, or what type of money would qualify to accept as lost revenue.
So what I can tell you about ARPA for sure is broadband infrastructure, sewer. The third one's the one that's escaping me right this minute. I know they did make some modification to their earlier rule about roadways. But those roadways those are projects that don't exist in Clark County, Kentucky. So I'm not sure that they made an exception for anything else. Can't remember that third category. But again, I didn't know when it came in here I was gonna be looking at it.
Could we go ahead and consider an ordinance for the bond pool and do the first reading? If we decided to use ARPA, we just don't have to do the second reading?
Absolutely.
I agree.
That's a good idea.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds really good to me.
Yep, that sounds good.
Are you making a motion?
If somebody wants to make that motion, that's my suggestion.
Well, I'll make a motion for a resolution to borrow the money from the bond pool
Be an ordinance.
in
Ordinance.
ordinance. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So I'll make a motion for an ordinance to purchase and pay for the $740,000 on the fire truck out of the bond pool in association with CAECO,
Up to that amount.
up to that amount.
I'll second that.
Prepared, huh?
From
the CAECO Association.
Yeah. Bond pool. Kelly, are you in a big rush? Can you hang around a little bit when the meeting? Okay. So the motion before you is we will do an ordinance to purchase and pay for the new Clark County fire truck up to $740,000 from the CAECO bond pool. Is that fairly correct? Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
First and second.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Judge votes yes. Okay. Item number 23 is,
Judge, before we get off that, will you follow up on that ARPA allowable expenditure and let us know before we do the second reading?
Who do
The
we check?
calculation.
The calc- yeah.
See
Oh,
what
the
the calculation
calculation.
is for the lost
Yeah.
revenue.
Or the change that Magistrate Davis spoke of?
Well, we still ought to find out about the
Yeah, either way.
calculation to see what type of revenue it is. Judge, did they, and just in question that, because I didn't realize the deadline had hit. Did you receive any kind of correspondence either from, DLG or NACO or anything in regards that deadline was?
On the ARPA money?
On the ARPA
No, sir.
funds?
No, sir. Okay, item 23 is to consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court appointing Mike Kindred to the Winchester Clark County Industrial Development Authority.
Motion to approve the order, Judge, with one revision, and that would be to substitute the name of Dwayne Wheeler for Mike Kindred.
Blaine?
Dwayne, D-W-A-I-N, last name Wheeler, W-H-E-E-L-E-R.
Well,
Second.
I guess I'm a little confused.
Well,
So are we're denying the Mike Kindred?
Well, in my motion is to substitute the name, and my reasoning is this, Judge. So as we're all have become familiar with KRS 67710, I believe it's subsection 9. Once the judge has made an appointment, or not made an appointment, if it's been voted down, a certain amount of time passes, then it's a fiscal court nomination. Now, you certainly within your rights as a court member to have it on the agenda, although my preference is Mr. Wheeler. I had talked to Dwayne, who I've known for years, actually lives in my neighborhood. He's a commercial property appraiser with a focus on industrial property. Dwayne does commercial industrial appraisals all over the eastern United States. He was also on our Planning and Zoning Commission for many years and was chairman for the last several years that he was on there. He stepped down a couple of years ago. And Dwayne had communicated to me when I talked with him over the years an interest in being on the Industrial Authority. So I thought that he would be a very good pick for that. I had every intention of nominating him for this meeting, and then I saw on the agenda I got a couple days ago that you'd already put Mr. Kindred on there. I've met Mike a few times. He's a nice fella, but I think Dwayne has a lot more private sector experience, particularly in industry and economic development, and has never served on this board to my knowledge. Mike's been on there, I think, in the past as a city appointee, so I think Dwayne would be a great addition to the board, so that's my
Yeah,
motion.
that's one of the reasons that I like the idea of Mike Kindred coming on board. He retired with 33 years or so in education, technical college principal here at GRC, and he did serve one term on the Industrial Authority. So you're bringing some experience in there. So that's why I thought he would be a good fit for that. Okay. So we will. I guess what we really need to do then on the order for Mike Kindred, we need to vote. Well, if I can make the nomination for that, I can make the motion. Is there a second on that? We'll have to vote that down.
There's a motion and second on the floor.
On the floor already.
The motion was to approve the order, but by substituting Dwayne Wheeler's name for Mr. Kindred's name.
But can we do that without, is that,
We can. We absolutely can.
okay.
Because now it's just a court nomination. I mean, you've nominated these people after your time as judge
Okay.
executive under the statute has passed, so.
Do you have that statute with you? I'd like to look
It's
at that.
I don't have it printed out. It's KRS 67.710, section 9.
Well, in this particular, I mean, there's a lot of ifs and ands on this industrial authority thing. Okay. Okay, so we'll go ahead, I'll go ahead and we're going to allow there's a motion to replace Mike Kindred's name with Dwayne Wheeler.
Yes.
Wheeler.
Uh, And we have who was the second?
Pass.
Okay. And is there any further discussion?
Again, I'm not in favor of changing things on the fly like that. I know Mr. Wheeler, I know Mr. Kindred, but it's a bit of a surprise to have a change like that, so I'm going to vote no because we didn't have that on the agenda as such. I'd like to have the opportunity to talk to Dwayne.
Any further discussion? Well, I will have to agree with Magistrate Blanton on that. You know, we've gone through many iterations where we have asked, the people on the bench have asked for people to appear so they can ask questions. And I, for one, think that, and I would have no problem putting this on the next meeting's agenda. That way, it's not a surprise to anybody. If anybody in the public wants to come and comment, they'll be welcome to. I do not like the spur-of-the-moment motions. I think that's not necessarily fair to the public. I don't think we're giving them an opportunity to be here to question, to have their input. So I would vote no on that also.
And again, I haven't had a chance to look at 57-710 recently, and I'd like to review that as well to make sure that we're within the time frames. And
Well, the statute of 67-710 clearly says that when the vacancy occurs, which was July 1st, we're all agreeable to that, the judge executive
I
has.
thought it was July 30th. when the vacancy
July
came.
1st, he made the first appointment in June.
But the term didn't expire till July 30th.
No, the vacancy came up July 1st because he made his first appointment on June 15th.
Well, I think I'd have to go back and look.
And the 15th was voted down, which you had 45 days from that date to be able to make the nomination. I mean, we could have made a nomination at the last court meeting.
Again, I'd have to go back and look. I thought the order said July 30th, but I have checked it to see.
Just a couple, to that point, Judge, and I understand your position, but I would say, it's been over 45 days since we voted down Mr. Manley for reappointment. I think that position needs to be filled. I don't know if he's attending the meetings or not. Obviously, he has a right to, but needs to be replaced by somebody who majority of the court approves of. I mean, Mr. Wheeler's been a known quantity in this community for years, decades, really. He's eminently qualified. I have no doubt about that in my mind. So, I understand, we don't set the agenda. You set the agenda. So if you had not put this on here, I was prepared to come in here and nominate him, I guess, in magistrate comments, because it's sort of left to us to take care of this after this thing has sat empty for weeks, going on 2 months now. So, I think it's right for a decision. Anyway.
Any further discussion? Okay.
Judge, just to set the record straight too, you had mentioned that, we've asked for people to come, and that's true. Those are people that we haven't been able to contact on the phone or have firsthand knowledge of who that person is. It's not necessarily that, we just want an opportunity to ask each person or talk to each person personally. So whether it's here that we didn't get a hold of them or it's there. So it's not that we're asking everybody to come here, we're just asking for phone numbers so we can contact them and talk with that individual. And if we don't get that, we'd certainly love to have them come so we could ask some questions.
Yeah, we
Just to-
didn't get the chance to look over these because I didn't get my packet till 4 o'clock yesterday.
Yeah.
And my understanding is we're supposed to have 48-hour notice by Kentucky
Yeah.
law. So we didn't have 48 hours to contact the two that you put on here.
Yeah. Or I had a no phone number on them at all, so.
Okay, so any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
No. Motion carries. And item number 24, I was actually I'm removing that one off the agenda. That did not materialize. So no action taken on item 24. Next, item number 25 was to consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court approving a pay increase for Tommy Patrick of the Clark County Road Department. Would you like to address that?
I inadvertently overlooked Tommy when we did the raises back in July, and I'm asking the fiscal court to authorize Janet to retro that back to when we increased those wages.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Magistrate Pasley, a second by Magistrate Miller. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court approving the hiring of Brad Goulman as a full-time mechanic for the Clark County Road Department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Magistrate Craycraft, second by Magistrate Pasley. Any further discussion?
Is this a promotion or a new hire?
New hire.
The order says promotion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a typo. On the agenda, I have hired. We'll correct that.
Just trying to make sure we get our I's dotted and our T's crossed.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then we have item number 27, is to consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court approving the hiring of Heather Strickland as a part-time kennel attendant 1 for the animal shelter.
Motion to approve.
Motion to
Second.
approve.
A motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos, second by Magistrate Blanton. Any further discussion? Motion carries. Or, I'm sorry, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 28 is to consider order of the Clark County Fiscal Court approving the hiring of Rebecca Keene as a part-time kennel attendant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Magistrate Blanton, a second with Magistrate Constantopoulos. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 29 is to consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court approving the hiring of Carrie Quinton as a part-time kennel attendant.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Magistrate
Second.
Blanton
Second.
and a second by Magistrate Miller. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 30 is being removed from the list, from the agenda.
31.
30.
30's being removed?
Yes,
No.
sir.
We just did 30, didn't we?
We did 29, right?
I'm sorry. We just did 29.
Yeah.
So 30's removed.
30 is being removed.
Okay.
Kate Leslie.
31 is, in your packets, this is to consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court accepting a contract for the mold remediation in the courthouse. And let me tell you where we stand right now. We have, in the packet, you'll see basically, I had contacted 5 mold remediation companies. Out of the 5, 2 elected to give us bids. And one of those was a recommendation by the Kentucky Administration of the Courts. It's a company they had dealt with. And they actually came in as low bid. They came in around $27,700. And the second one was company ServPro. They came in around $36,000. So the Chase Environmental Group was the low bid. And also checking with KCO, our insurance, we have a $2,500 deductible that they're, so basically our insurance is going to pick up most of that. And I laid a sheet on your desk there that the administration of the courts is willing to kick in about a little over 12. So money-wise, we're going to be, I think, okay on this. The big issue is this is strictly the mold remediation. We can't bid the the putback, if you will, the remodeling of it until we know what has to be done. So right now, we're guessing, best guess is that's probably gonna be around 15,000. It's going to be a difficult process to get it done because we have to work around the schedule of the family court and the circuit court. Because especially with the demolition and everything because of the noise. But pretty much everything in the room. So what's going to happen is the company that we award this to is going to come in, sanitize all the furniture and everything. Then once it's sanitized, we're going to physically move it down into the basement of this building until they can get their work done. We don't really have a place to store it. So that's kind of where we're at.
You need a motion to approve the contract.
So I'd like to have a motion to allow me to sign the contract with Chase Environmental for 27/7 and to administer the job.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Magistrate Davis. We have a second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Good job on that.
Item number 32 is basically just for information, the packets were delivered to Magistrates Blanton, Miller, and Craycraft on the Community Foundation disbursement. So so you guys have you have all the information, all the applications, so.
We'll talk after the meeting and
Okay,
try to set a date we can sit down and look at them, and
okay.
if we could have the finance officer in that meeting with us so we can see how much money we're spending as we go down and maybe get the information of the last 3 years as to who was awarded money and how much for the last 3 years.
Okay. Item number 33 is a discussion on the Clark County, your benefits renewal program. And I think that was going to be Ms. Janet.
I apologize for my human error. There's a corrected order for.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
How are y'all doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Hopefully you got good news.
We do have good news. So, we're just trying to get together and provide you all with some information as far as how the benefits plan is currently performing.
Thank you.
What it, how it's performing, and what our plans are for renewal. So just to get some insight as far as,
Thanks, sir.
where we're going. So we can really skip to page 7. We knew we had some new magistrates this year and a new judge executive, so the first couple pages are just about us, so you can kind of familiarize yourself with us. But we've been the broker for Clark County since 2022. We were hired right around the January timeframe. And just to give you some brief history on that, as far as looking backwards here, we were hired in 2022. You all received unfavorable renewal with IPMG, Ethos. That's whenever you all went self-funded. That was your first renewal as self-funded. So you were fully insured, and now you're self-funded. So when that happened, we actually moved you all to UMR, which is United Healthcare's self-funded arm. And from that point, we're able to reduce the max cost liability by 28% or $378,000. That was a good sign. So the actual realized savings from 2022 versus the proposed renewal is $473,000. So we had a really, really good year when we tightened things down, moved to a more efficient network, more efficient TPA strategy. We realized a substantial amount of savings. So, yeah, go ahead.
Could you do the microphone?
This is my dream come true.
That's okay, that's okay.
So if anybody's not familiar with self-funded, partially self-funded versus fully insured insurance, it has all the same components. It has stop loss, it has high-cost claimants, and it has a claim pool and fixed costs. But by moving you to a A-plus rated third-party administrator, UMR, when we came in here in January 2022, the stop loss premium, which is the insurance part of a stop loss contract, had not been signed timely. So all of a sudden, the reinsurance company got another month's worth of data, and all of a sudden there was one person that instead of having the same specific deductible, instead of being on the hook for this person for $100,000, but the court was on the hook for $400,000. So we were able, based on our book of business, not just our knowledge, but our whole team, we were able to move you guys, keep the January 1 plan year, move you to UMR March 1st, and then ask HCC, which is a reinsurance company, to actually backdate the January 1 to go on risk. So with that, we were able to save a lot. So on the self-funded, the fixed costs are your admin, your stop-loss insurance, our commission, those kinds of things. They're fixed. If you don't have a single claim per year at all, you're still going to have these fixed costs. So we greatly reduced that, but what the big point was that we made was your claims liability. Because you're on the hook, there's maximum claims, which is based on an employee count every month, how many singles, how many families, things like that. There's a maximum claim point, and then it's what the insurer, the reinsurance HCC, expects you to get. So with that, you've performed well underneath the expected claim, because now you have a network that has good discounts with the different providers and pharmacies and things like that. So what the numbers he's given you is if you had another bad year like you had in 2021, your liability would have been, you could have paid $800,000 more based on maximum claims. On expected claims, it was $473,000. Go ahead.
I mean, she summed it up right there. So, overall, it's been great. So what we were able to do is we also added a no new laser stop loss contract with a 50% rate cap. So you had the laser, remember the laser a couple years ago?
Yeah.
The $400,000 laser, which was one individual deductible you all would add it in out of pocket. So since that laser is no longer on the plan, we were able to secure last year a no new laser contract, which adds that extra protection there. So that means basically at renewal, the stop loss carrier can't say, we're going to laser this individual because they're a high cost claim. They can give you a 50% renewal increase on the stop loss insurance, but not provide a laser. And from there, we can decide if that makes sense. But right now, that's not where we're heading. So all in, if you look at combined 2023, 2022, and then 6 months through 2023, as far as the expected claims amount that Kathy just spoke to, it's been a savings of $480,000, and if you were looking at the maximum exposure, it's about $817,000. So we're overall very, very good results over the last 18 months. Skipping ahead, page 8, that's just talking about self-funding as far as we benchmarked your program. 30% of employers of your size are self-funded, and over a 5-year period of time, likelihood of coming out ahead or fully insured, you're about 98% likely at this point in time. So self-funding was a good decision. Now that we're with the right TPA, the right network, and the right funding mechanisms here, we're able to capitalize on that. If you'll skip to let's go to page 11. So this is the historical cost. Page 10 is a dashboard that kind of gives you the snapshot year over year. Page 11 is going to be the year over year history. So right now, medical claims are down 44%. If you look down at the bottom piece, we like to look at the per employee per year because it normalizes the data. So the very bottom column where it says gross medical claims, it's about the third one over. Gross medical claims are down 44%. Pharmacy's up 2% at $1,629 per employee per year. The benchmark for Kentucky is around $3,000. So we're able to keep that cost low as well by strengthening that pharmacy contract. And if you look over all the way to the bottom right-hand corner, total actual net cost, that's everything including your stop loss, your administration, claims, the whole package, is down 27% from the prior year.
Where that estimated for 2022 was going to be a plus 56%. We were able to get that just to plus 20, I can't read it, it's an eye test, and now we're at negative 27 over last year. So self-funded has definitely done its job for Clark County, and we continue to do so.
All right, so moving on to the next page is just the projection. So again, some of y'all don't know us. We have a whole team of people behind us, ERISA attorneys, underwriters, you name it, we pretty much got it. So anyways, we had our underwriter perform a renewal projection. So basically, if you were to renew today, if the renewal came in today, this is what he is projecting based on the carrier's methodology as far as how they calculate your renewal. Now remember, the only insurance that you're buying is stop loss. And it's a very low dollar amount compared to the claims that you're funding, because you're funding the claims, you're not paying insurance for those claims. So by putting all that together, he's estimating that it's a 3.88% decrease from last year in total cost. Now,
I do want to reiterate that this is, so our underwriter, this is part of what we do every year. We don't want you to find out what we think your increase or decrease is going to be 30 days before you renew, right? That's a panic attack. So what our underwriter does is on our renewal projection, he underwrites it, Drew Park, the way we believe that UMR will underwrite it. Like, for example, if you look down at the stop loss, where is that? Specific stop loss is the third from the bottom. He believes that UMR will come out with about a 15% increase or $42,000. We're not going to let that happen the way the claims are right now, because you don't have anybody, all the claimants are, your specific deductible is $100,000. So Clark County Fiscal Court pays the first $100,000 in claims for all its members. That's belly buttons, that's employees, spouses, children, everybody. You have not had any claims so far that's even halfway there. So once somebody hits the $50,000 as an individual member on claims, that's when we really get involved. You know, what kind of medications? Is there lower costs? You know, they're having treatments at inpatient. Maybe if we talk to them and we ask them to go outpatient, it's going to save them money on their deductible and max out of pocket. It's going to save their court money. Okay, so this is again like what we think UMR and the reinsurance company HCC will come out. This is not necessarily where you will end up. And of course, if you have somebody that is diagnosed with, you know, stage 2 cancer and they're in the hospital and things like that, all of that is going to, you know, be considered closer to the renewal. But as Curtis said so well earlier, if we were to do the renewal right now, we think that UMR and the stop loss company would come out with 4% reduction on expected claims.
so overall, really good news looking forward. We did provide some benchmarking too, because we feel like it's also very important with the labor market and how hard it is to attract and retain employees. It's always been a struggle for everybody to show how your plan compares, like your actual plan designs itself and how much it costs the employees out of pocket compares to other employers. So we have a benchmarking study that has about 10,000 different companies that participate annually. That's on page 14. And the first measurement piece is the actual plan design value. That's your copays, your deductibles, your co-insurance, your max out of pocket, all included. The goal is to have one or more plans that are better than your peer average group, which is that dark gray bar. So we are slightly under that, but not by much. Considering the savings, there might be opportunity to make some adjustments to the plan designs to enrich those plans for the employees. So food for thought there. And on the following page, you can see how the deductible, the out-of-pocket, the co-insurance stacks up against other city governments, employers of your size, in our region. And then again, on page 16 is the cost, how much the employee is paying out of pocket on a monthly basis. If you look on the left-hand side, you guys are extremely competitive because there is no cost. But if you look on the right-hand side, the family coverage cost is actually quite a bit higher than what we see on average with other organizations. So if you're wanting to align your benefits and you're thinking that might be a strategy for this year, then this is something that you can look at to compare to. We want to provide that information.
We'll have contribution analysis. So if you do nothing and employees pay the same exact amount out of their paycheck, this is what it's going to cost the court. If we decide to pay a little bit more for family, employee spouse, employee children, so that their payroll deductions go down, this would be the increase, or maybe even a rate hold. You all are performing that well, you know, for 2024. You know, Curtis and I work with a lot of employers together, and we also have our separate accounts that we work on. And we typically find that your family contracts are the employees that have been here the longest and stay the longest. So I feel like this is how the contribution has been forever and hasn't maybe been, you know, thoroughly looked at. So that's something that we really want to spend some time on this year.
And if you go to the page 20, we'll just skip to the next step. So overall, the feedback has been positive with UMR and with the change from IPMG and Ethos. We feel like we haven't heard a lot of complaints by any means. I feel like most people are enjoying having the access in a national, you know, network that they can rely on their cards. Typically, self-funded employers, they don't change administrators a lot, because when you change administrators like UMR, and you're changing your network too, and you're changing your pharmacy benefit management. So there's a lot of components there that are in place, and we know, because we benchmarked it, United Healthcare has just as good as discounts as Anthem or any other top-tier network. And pharmacy benefit management perspective, we're actually getting a little bit more favorable results than we would with other carriers, given the size of this group. So we anticipate the HCC stop-loss renewal to be delivered right around the first or second week of October, okay? And we're actually in the process of collecting the information that we need to be able to market this. We feel like it will be favorable. So we're gonna negotiate with HCC, and at that point, if it makes sense, we'll go to the market if we can't get what we want out of them. So essentially, the next step for you all would be to think about the plan designs and contributions as far as what you want to do in that regard, so we can model it out, to Kathy's point, to show you the impact that it would have on the budget. And then beyond that, whenever we actually finalize the stop loss, this is very, very important. So when we finalize the stop loss, it'll probably be sometime in October, I would assume, okay, unless something happens or unless they want another month of claims data or something like that. Once we get the final number, they're gonna give us a week or two.
Yes.
At most, to get it approved and signed. If we don't get it signed before the end of the month, for instance, if it is finalized in October, we don't get it signed by the end of October, then the stop loss carrier is gonna say, we want another month of claims. And in that instance, if that does happen, then they get to review October claims. And when that happens, if they identify somebody,
Emerging claim.
Emerging claim or something like that, that can impact the renewal itself. So just same thing as last year. We did this last year. I think we had about a week and a half or 2 weeks to get it finalized. We got it done, no problem. We got some new magistrates. I just want to make sure, and a new judge, want to make sure everybody is on the same page as far as what our strategy is and the timeliness of getting that contract signed off on whenever it is firm and finalized.
So the renewal date is kind of a floating target at this point?
Absolutely.
Then my second question, since we have the clerk and the sheriff and the road and the fire, are you all satisfied with what you're getting as far as your employees? Are you hearing that they're good with it or okay with it or having problems with it before we go down this road of this same thing again?
No problems that I'm aware of.
I don't have any.
And I'll tell you, Magistrate Blunt, since we switched from that first debacle that we went through, we had tons of complaints during that first companies.
I'm
And
still
then-
battling something with that.
Yeah, we thought it was done like 9 months
Yes.
ago, and it comes back
And,
again from IPMG, yes.
And I think, Janet, you've been very happy with everything.
Yes,
and-
yeah. After we got through that transition, I've gotten some really good responses. Of course, you always have those people that you're not gonna always make happy, but it's always, overall, it's been a very good response. Very pleased.
And we can definitely look at different networks, but, part of our underwriting team, we've got, probably close to 10,000 employees across the U.S., and we have 2.2 million members across the U.S., so not just here in Kentucky. So we look at that data to benchmark it. And, Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and UMR, the United Healthcare, their networks are very, very close in discounts. But UMR, the reason why we chose UMR 2022 versus any other was because they were willing to play. We were able to reach out to them and tell them the story. This isn't Clark County's fault, who's an inexperienced broker, in my opinion, that was kind of hoodwinked a little bit, and now they're in this mess and we need to help them out. So we were able to tell that story. For what Curtis and I do, the only thing we have is our word and our reputation. So they made some concessions for us to go on risk March 1st with a January 1 renewal, and then to have the actual HCC backdate to January 1 we were told it couldn't be done, but we got it done. So we made a lot of promises to the court when the court hired us, and after about 9 months, we put forth a 3-year strategy, and it was voted to keep us, in place for 3 years. So we take our job very seriously, and we appreciate it. Work hard for you guys.
Sir, I actually like to give you a little insight on that. Not a lot of times do we hear positive feedback on instances like the insurance. For once, we have got a lot of positive feedback from the men in the department. They like you, they like this, the way we're moving. The only thing that I hear them is we would like to see a family plan insurance. I don't know about Alan, but in my department, we have a lot of younger men who are starting families and are looking towards things like family plan insurance. But as far as what we're getting right now, I've got nothing but positive feedback from all of our employees, which is not rare, but usually they don't talk to me about things like that, but they say, Chief, we're definitely going in the right direction with our insurance. So as long as the premiums keep going down, they're happy, so to speak.
Thank you for that, Chief.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Karen.
Now, I want to ask you,
Me?
now I asked,
I'm sorry.
we mentioned the time frame of when this contract has to be approved
Right.
is.
It's for the stop loss contract.
Right.
So to lock us in.
To lock us in,
To lock
yeah.
us in.
Right,
None of this will take effect until the 1st of 2024.
right.
Okay.
But I guess my question is, so this will have to be approved by the fiscal court?
Typically, that's how we did it last year,
Okay.
with the understanding that, yeah, we go and let the judge sign it when the paperwork comes in.
We had like an extra meeting
Yes.
to just.
That was my question.
Yeah, I think the court approved it, if I'm remembering.
Yes, I came here.
And then
Yeah.
the judge, he was approved that the judge executive could sign it when we got the contract,
And when do we need to do that in order to meet their schedule?
whenever they,
Our first meeting in October?
whenever they lock it in.
So here's what happens, here's our process just in general. UMR reporting comes out Friday or Monday for August claims. Okay, so we get August claims, Friday, Monday timeframe. From that point, we pull all that information, we get the census, we send that to the stop loss carrier, HCC. They need 2 weeks to develop that renewal. Given the volume, everybody renews January 1st, every business in the world. So it becomes a little bit of a challenge and it's a work overload. So we are in queue at that point, which we're a preferred vendor, we're a preferred partner with them, so it's usually a little bit more favoritism on that. 2.5 weeks, develop the renewal, then we have to negotiate and or market, depending on the results of that renewal. And we should have a firm stop loss, I would say, by the end of October.
Yes.
And they'll give us a week and a half usually within that point. But we'll have an idea of what's coming in and we can kind of get out in front of that with you all. Does that make sense?
So possibly we could vote on it on our second meeting in October if it's in soon enough, and if not, we may have to have a special call meeting
Right.
to approve it.
Which is, I think, what happened last year.
You
We
all
had
are a
that.
very favorable risk
Yes.
to HCC right now. They're gonna wanna keep your business and we're gonna leverage that to keep them there. So, by leveraging that, we're gonna be able to give one another stop loss.
It's been fun for us. It's been fun to be able to turn that corner and keep the same benefits, same employee contribution at zero for both plans. And just be able to stand up here and say, once again, we predict a decrease in your claim costs.
And for the new magistrates, so you know, last year we absorbed all the costs for employee only, medical, dental, vision, and life, and that's been very impactful. That's swayed some people to come here to work. Again, if we could start chipping away at the dependents, that cost, especially health, it will be even more so. But that's been a big factor for us, so it's been very helpful.
Can you tell us, the new members, what is our contribution to the family?
For health,
I've got the family here. I can't,
Let me get it.
I don't know if I can speak to the actual contribution.
and we've got 2 plans, so,
I know that the member's responsibility is on page 17 per plan. This is a monthly basis. So,
And when
in
we,
the blue bar, that's what the member, the employee is paying on a monthly basis. And as you can see, the gray bars, that's what everybody else is.
and when we first did the transition, I would come with Janet for some of the new hire orientations. And we'd have family, people who wanted to cover their spouse and or children and would see the payroll deductions and just, I can't afford it. I just can't do it. I'm gonna, have to figure out something else. And certainly not putting down what the court has done up to this point. I just don't think it had been addressed or had come to the forefront before.
And I think I think a concern, it's not a concern, well, it is a concern. And, I'm all for bringing depending on the financial analysis of bringing the contribution rate down, some on what it is for a family plan. But, you know, when you get down to offering it, you know, there may be other spouses that have insurance opportunities elsewhere, but now what we're doing is increasing our exposure, and since we're self-insured, you know, we're taking on a lot more risk at that point too, and I think that's
Balance.
that's kind of the balance of being self-insured that we've got to be careful with.
Well, that's a great point, because something we would have discussed in detail at the actual renewal meeting is along those lines. So there's spousal carve-outs, where if you have, if your spouse works and they have insurance available, they can't take our insurance. Or there's what's become more popular over the past few years is a spousal surcharge, where if, you know, you work for someplace, you know, that has its spouse, like I work, my husband works, so if he adds me onto his plan, he can do that, but it's gonna cost him about $75 more per month to do that. So those are things that will definitely weigh in. Thank you for that comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, that's what a lot of people do. You know, it's just sign affidavit saying, you know, hey, I don't have insurance at my employer, or I do. If I do, then that's where I get it. But
And
that
trust
can
me,
deter.
employees will police themselves too. Like, you know, if they don't, you know, people, the next question is usually, how do we monitor that? How do we make sure people are honest, you know? And it's like, trust me, they'll police each other, you know, surcharge or something.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you.
No,
Very
thank
good,
you.
Thank
good
you all
job.
for having us today. We appreciate it.
Yes.
And we'll keep you updated on the stop loss renewal as it comes in. And we'll try to make sure we have a decent timeline where we can come and present what that renewal is going to be like. So you all have time to think about
Thank
it
you.
and sign off on it.
Thank you for the good news.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, number 34 got removed. They called this morning. They had a conflicting meeting they had to be at. And this came about, I think, in the Generations meeting. It was suggested that the Generations Center come here and just give you a quick presentation of what they do. That's where this came from. So we'll try to have that next time. Okay, item number 35 is a discussion on updating the software for the net profit and occupational tax collection. And I'm going to let Mary address that. And they can decide which
Yes.
Mary.
Good morning. I emailed over everyone the price invoice on the new software. And I also have some team members with Fiscal Soft, because I know there were some questions. That way they may be able to answer questions that you all may have that I cannot. This is a software that I used for 17 and a half years, and it's a very sufficient.
Mary, if you don't mind, what led us to this, to even thinking about this?
Okay, the software that you guys have now, the MTS software, what I've learned over the last couple of weeks is it's very slow. I'll be halfway into an account and it'll just spin, and I'll have to go out and go back in, and
And
it's
how long
just
have
so
we
long.
had that software?
The booklet that is upstairs said it was 2020, I believe, is the booklet that you and I
Or
looked at.
2000?
Yes, so it's 23 years old.
23
Yes,
years old.
yes.
Okay.
I didn't remember it.
I'm not sure, you know, when but that's, it really needs a update. I feel like that, you know, there is a lot maybe that we miss because of not having the grasp on delinquents or who's getting them or who's sending them. And with this software, they have all that, you know, they have their letters and all that they're able to put into that software, that I'm able
So we
to
can
run
have
those
better, more
reports.
accurate reports
Yes,
then?
yes, on collection for your even payroll net profit. But there was a few questions, and I really didn't have the answer on transition, so.
So I'll tell you a little bit about myself and Fiscal Soft. My name is Ryan. Myself and Jacob own Fiscal Soft. It's been around for about 40 years, and we actually serve about 65 counties here in Kentucky with our financial software. Mary, in her previous position, worked with our software for 17 years. So, and this is Glenna Smith, recently retired treasurer from Madison County. She used our software for 23 years. I think you can see by Mary's, opinion of us. I think we try to do a good job for our customers and do as much as we can to maintain the software and keep it going forward and get the best support we can. So, excuse me, it's only my second fiscal court meeting in my 10 years at this business, so I apologize, but if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
So this would be replacing the payroll tax and net profit tax software, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it's net profits, occupational tax software is what she is.
We don't have to update any equipment, right?
It depends. Is it going to be single, is just you
Our-
currently?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No.
Our server is large enough, and
Yeah, so the only thing that it would be is that if, since it's just Mary currently using the software, anybody would be able to access it, but if you would like to eventually at some point put it on multiple computers, it would be, there's one component, it's $750. I'll be transparent, that's not our charge, it's just a piece that goes on the server.
well, I think right now we are on one server. We-
Right now, the software is on her computer, it's on my computer.
Oh, okay, so
I
it,
can access it to see what, but it just depends.
Yeah.
okay,
And she
okay,
could
so
do
it
that,
is,
so-
it's not on the server then, right, Mary? It's not on the server, right?
It does.
Okay, when you say your computer, you mean the server, right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
on the server, but it's on her desktop and it's in my office.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
So on your cost to implement the software, does that include all the data extraction from our current software that we have now to
Yeah.
carry all that information over, or?
So, but
Yeah, that's typically on me on tech lead. So yeah, that cost covers everything. Support for a year free support as well. Any data import will be through me directly. I've got multiple other counties import all their software, and I'll be working with Mary directly in order to get all that done. So that would be no additional charge.
Okay, and are you familiar with the software we would be exporting from?
Not typically, no, but in my experience, it usually doesn't matter if I can get the data in a certain way, in Excel spreadsheet, just however way, like I said, I'll work with Mary in whatever way we can get that can usually work with it.
it's a pretty common request. He doesn't usually have any trouble doing it, so. And then, basically, I mean, even if it became an issue, it would be manual entry, we could help. It's no problem.
Just from experience at Madison County, we used fiscal tax and all of the accounting software, fiscal books and the payroll since year 2000. And we have in past, with new judges coming in, compared it to other software at their request. We have an exceptional IT staff over there. I've had them compare it to other softwares, and Fiscal Soft is the best out there for, it's only made for county governments.
Yeah.
Fiscal Soft, the only customers we serve is county governments. That's it. So everything when, this isn't related to tax, but if the retirement system makes a change, the labor board, the IRS makes a change, we automatically update that and know what those changes are because we attend the meetings with CAECO and DLG and we know what's going on with county governments. And we also have two customer service reps, which I am one of them, and Angie Brown is the other customer service rep who have served as treasurers for many years. So not only are we offer customer service 5 days a week for software problems, but also for any kind of treasurer, questions that you have.
Tax administrators.
Yeah, tax administrators. A lot of your treasurers serve as the tax administrator also in some of your smaller counties, so we're able to help with that.
Is there an annual fee after the first year and
Yes, sir.
updates and renewals, and can you tell us about that?
Yes, sir. It's $3,400 annual fee after the first year, so.
How much?
It's $3,400. So the first year, you will not pay that, and then for every year thereafter, you will. That includes all the support as well as updates. So one of the conflicts that a lot of counties run into is when you purchase a software through a company, a lot of companies will say, what would you like with the software? Thankfully, we know Mary knows our software. She knows this is what she wants, but then they would have you come up with what you want the software to do. The moment that changes, they're going to come back up in front of the court and say, by the way, we need another X amount of thousands of dollars, and just to cover these changes you'd like. Where with us, is every update, all the support will be included in the $3,400.
And then if we have turnover in the case, Mary decides to move on, and we get somebody new in there, then that'll include training them and so
Yeah.
forth on the software, on a continuing basis.
Yes, sir. So, to be honest with you, I think that is the primary driver in counties purchasing our software. is a lot of the time when there's a transition in the position, there's not a lot of resources for tax administrators, treasurers in the state to get the information that they need. So DLG and a couple of other representatives usually tell them to reach out to their software company for support or training, and that's kind of fallen upon us to kind of help them. But as you can see, I think that we have the resources to train and get everybody up to speed.
We are available by phone. We also have capabilities that you can send us your data and we can look at it and figure out problems for you. We cannot do anything to your data. All social security numbers are masked, all that sort of thing. But we can figure out your problems and give you the solution back and tell you what you need to do to fix it. And then also in training cases, I live on the, right over in Montgomery County, right up across the Clark County line, on Esteg Road. And so I travel to different counties when they need training and give them one-on-one.
So we would get a discount since you're close.
Yeah.
And how long do you expect the implementation? Say we agree to do this today, the body.
Today. She can do it today. Like, we could get it, she already knows the software. The conversion of the data, we could work on it today. It's not a big deal. I already told her previously, before today, that she could start using it if she'd like to start entering in hopes that she would get it. That's no problem. We can get her moving almost immediately. Thankfully, she's used it for 17 years. So to be honest with you, she's done it longer than I have. I've been around for 10 years, so she knows the tax software probably better than I do. But she's going to be up and running pretty quickly.
Question for Mary. So you see this as being more time efficient as well as being able to track your numbers better? Do you think it would help us improve collection and finding missed people who's not paying their tax?
Absolutely, I do.
So you think in some ways it could help pay for itself?
Oh, yeah, it'll pay for itself double. Yeah.
I'll make a comment on that, actually. I said earlier that I've been to one other fiscal court meeting. The other fiscal court meeting that I went to, the county asked us to come and speak, and they were hesitant. They purchased all of our software, but the tax software was a component that they purchased, and they increased their tax collection by 20% just by being able to send the delinquents, the late notices, to better track the money. And actually, I'm fairly confident it would pay for itself over not that long.
So we'll be able to identify any delinquent quicker and more efficiently, and
Yes, sir. Yes.
and I guess don't know what the right term is, but it would assist you in that, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
And Mary Mack, I'll say Mary Mack so we can separate the two Marys here. But Mary Mack, she voiced the same concerns with the software, having issues and tracking and so forth.
She did, yeah.
So I think this is more than going to pay for itself. I mean, so the investment, I think it was at $14,995. We're going to get return on that big time.
That $3,400 annual fee, are we grandfather claused in on that so it will not go up?
It could eventually go up. I'm not going to say it will never go up. If it was to go up, it would probably be about a $200 increment, but we're not planning that currently at all.
Okay.
In the past, I believe 6 years ago, there was a $200 increase in that.
Make a motion to approve the invoice.
Second. So we have a motion by Magistrate Davis, Magistrate Davis, and second.
Pasley.
Magistrate Pasley to approve the Fiscal software for $14,995. And do we also, at this time, want to approve the $3,400 annual fee?
Well, that's not till next year. First year's included.
Just wait on that?
Yeah,
Just have to budget it. Next year's all we have to do.
Okay. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion is approved.
You can start on that today.
And I will say this was kind of brought to our attention by Mary because the software that she was using was bogging down 4 or 5 times a day, and I think that problem had been there for a while.
Yeah,
So I think this is actually a good move.
I agree.
Okay, next item on the agenda is magistrate comments.
Judge, one thing on the, because I know that Mary needs to speak to us in regards to net profits, and I think we need to go into closed sessions in regards to that. So could we mark closed session? I think the appropriate would be potential litigation, you think, for that, or regarding the net profits?
Is it something that you have to do today, or?
I'd say we can do it next meeting.
Let's just do it next meeting.
Would you prefer that?
I prefer to see the material and make the election with information is to just try to decide here on the spot.
Can we do that? Get him the material, and then that way he can see what classification needs to go under? Okay. And then the only other thing that I had, I know we removed one off the agenda, but we still have another appointment for Ryan Dotson's unexpired term on the IDA, so I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Tim James to fill that expired term of Ryan Dotson.
I'll second that.
I thought I had, when does Ryan Johnson's term expire? I thought I already had it.
It expired on July 1st.
Okay, so we don't want, we just,
And so we haven't had another appointment within 60 days, so I'm just making that appointment to,
Right.
that's a fiscal court appointment, so making him, he worked with the governor's office
Okay.
of local development, been very involved in that in the community, was Winchester First Director. He wants to serve, and so I offer that up as a nomination for the appointment.
Didn't he work for Fletcher, Governor Fletcher?
It's under Governor Fletcher administration, yes, in the Department of Local Development.
Perfect.
okay, so the motion is, and what was his name?
Tim James.
Tim James.
So there's a motion to nominate Tim James to the Clark County Industrial Development Authority to replace the vacant position of Ryan Dotson.
Ryan Dotson, yeah, because I think the one that was done earlier was for Bruce Manley, based on the order.
Right. Those in favor say aye.
Quick
Aye.
discussion.
I'm sorry, is there any discussion?
Again, this wasn't on the agenda. It's an unexpected motion and a vote, and I thought we've discussed time and time again about not doing that, so I'm going to vote no for that reason.
Well, yeah, here again, I mean, I would have no problem putting these on the next agenda, but I don't know that we need to be constantly voting quickly in magistrate comments or any other part without it being on the agenda for the people to review ahead of time. It's not the vote, it's the procedure on how we're voting. I think we need to give the public time to review, and if they want to be here to comment or whatever, I think that, I think we need to change our procedure, and I'm not exactly sure how to do that.
Well, you're always able to make motions from the floor. I mean, the body has always done that. We've done it on many different issues, Judge. I mean, over the years, long before I was on the court, so I don't know that that's a quote-unquote procedure that can or should ever be changed. I mean, the body has to have some flexibility to act when there's been no action. And this
Well, and
vacancy, again, has gone on for the better part of 2 months.
Well, I'm okay with that. It's just, I guess if these are, good solid individuals and they need to be appointed, then I don't see what the difference would be between doing it now or doing it on September the 28th.
Well, there's a public interest in filling these vacancies in a timely fashion and not letting them sit vacant for months. If
Okay.
you know, you had opportunity to offer somebody, you did, and then you withdrew it. So let's go on and vote.
Any fur-
Go ahead, I'll just let it go.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
And I vote, chair votes no. Okay, continuing on.
That's all I have.
I have a housekeeping issue. Some time ago, after 45 days, no nominations, we made a motion for Rhonda Morphew to the East Clark County Water District. And it was later brought up by yourself that you were challenging that 45 days. Well, now it's been 75 days since the Ron Toller's term expired, and no other motions have been made. So just as a point of housekeeping, I'd just like to make a motion for the appointment of Rhonda Morphew to the East Clark County Water District, in case there's any question or further litigation.
I'll second that.
I thought we already had approved that.
We did, and he announced that he was challenging it because of the 45-day
Challenge with the
rule.
AG's
So now it's
office.
been 60 days, so we'll make that again.
Okay. So could you, your motion is?
To appoint Rhonda Morphew to the East Clark County Water District.
A motion by Magistrate Pasley, and who's second? Magistrate Craycraft. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Chair votes no. I vote, I'm a no. Okay, continuing on.
Don't comment.
Mr. Miller.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Magistrate Bland.
Just a couple of notes here. If when you leave today, you might notice some fifth graders in town. It's City Government Day between the police department and the City Hall and chamber offices. You'll see today and tomorrow, you'll see a bunch of fifth graders. So as you leave, you might see those. And then a question for the court, I guess. I know we had a discussion at the special meeting with regards to the fire study, and there was some magistrates who needed additional information or needed to get some feedback from the public. I hope each and every one of you have had the opportunity to obtain that additional information. If not, perhaps the correct thing would be to go ahead and approve that fire study so we could get that information. So if Judge, maybe you could put that on a future agenda so we could address those needs of those who voted nay, and we could discuss it a little bit further to determine what information those needs are, and if they can't find that information, then we should probably move forward with that. And I think that's about all I have. That's it, that's all I've got.
Okay, that completes the magistrate comment. Next item on the agenda, there's nothing in closed
Oh, we did
session.
receive the fire department's report too. We might put that in the minutes.
Okay. We'll make a note in the minutes for the Clark County Fire Department monthly report for August. Next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second motion, discussion, is there a second?
Second.
There was a second, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
I mean, for Randy, he gave me a certificate, I was officially won my election 8 months ago. Is that it?
Vacant position, Brian Dodson.